Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala amma ba'du. We have reached the 27th reading in Al-Qira'atu Rashida. And alhamdulillah, this first section, Al-Qira'atu Rashida, is basically broken up into three sections or three smaller. It is built up of three smaller books. And the first one is made up of 31 sections. What we're going to do when we finish these 31, inshallah ta'ala, is at the end of the book, and I paid attention to this later on, at the end of the book there are questions regarding every section that you should be trying to answer. Some of them will be from your own experiences, such as in Kayfa Aqdi Yomi. It might ask you to write about how you spend your day, the first lesson. And so you want to say something about that using the vocabulary that you learned inside of that reading, and so on and so forth. Some of them will be comprehension questions, and some of them will be asking you to use the language in your writing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, when we finish these first 31 readings, the first section of the book, then we're going to go over and make a brief video for everyone explaining these readings, and hopefully you will try to write something or make a short video saying it, or an audio, and then submit it to us. And we can put it on the channel if you like, or we can grade it for you if it's in written form, so on and so forth, right? And we can even, for instance, if you were to write it, we could put it up on the screen like we do here and say, this is what you should have said, this is correct, this is excellent, mashallah, you can change this to feminine instead of masculine. We can make small corrections, inshallah, we can make videos based upon your submissions to show what people could and should have said, or so on and so forth. So that's what we plan to do. As for moving forward after that, then we will seek your counsel in that when it comes that time, bi'idhnillah. This 27th lesson, as we can see here, has these are called a qaws, right? So when you have two of them, it's called qawsayn. So bayna or qawsan. Bayna qawsayn, between the parentheses, the qaws is a parenthesis, and qawsayn, parentheses, right? We see a number 1 here. That's because this story, Al-Barid, has two parts, reading 27 and 28, right? And so this will be the first part. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll soon record the second part of it as well, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So the title of these two stories is Al-Barid. Al-Barid, coming from Ba, Ra, Dal, meaning mail or post, right? Depending on if you have a American or a British background in your language, English language, right? Al-Barid is mail or post. So this story is talking about mail. As we will see, one of the friends, he has no idea what mail is or how it works, and the other one has some experience, and so he's telling him about the different things that take place with mail. Al-Barid. This story, as we see, takes place between two people, Khalid and Tariq. So when I see these two quotation marks, I'll say Qala. He said. Who said it? Khalid. Tariq. Qala Tariq. Qala Khalid. Khalid said, ماذا تكتب يا طارق? ماذا, what? Sometimes ma is what, and ماذا, same thing. Just one is abbreviated. ماذا تكتب, from كتب يكتب, right? What are you writing? Present tense. Right? Present tense verb. Kataba yaktubu. Second person. You writing. Ya Tariq. When Tariq comes, or when Ya comes, then we lose our tanween. You see here we have the tanween, but behind Ya, then we lose the tanween. So we say Ya Tariq. ماذا تكتب يا Tariq? What are you writing, O Tariq? Right? And we don't have to say O Tariq, but this is how in Arabic people call one another. You don't say, like in English we might say, hey Hassan, hey Tariq. Hey Tariq, what you writing? Right? Hey Tariq, what are you writing? What are you writing, Tariq? Right? So this hey or huh, that's what ya is. It's the harf nida. It's to get your attention. Right? So we don't have to say oh Tariq, we can say Tariq. So if you want to call your friend, you say Ya Abul Hassan, Ya Aba Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, Ya Tariq, Ya Khalid, right? Ya Zaid. When you want to call them. Right? This doesn't mean you have to say oh and sound Shakespearean. You don't have to translate it, but that's the way the Arabs talk. They put this ya there, even if it's not in the beginning, as we see here. Before someone's name that you're talking to, you say ya. So ماذا نأكل اليوم يا أمة? What are we eating today, O mother? That's how the Arabs talk, right? Ya Ummah, Ya Abati. You find it in the Quran when Ibrahim talking to his father, Ya Abati. So he says, ماذا تكتب يا Tariq? What are you writing, Tariq? قال Tariq. Tariq, he says, أنا أكتب كتابا إلى أخي عامر. أنا أكتب, again, we just have this first person, present tense, أكتب, singular. I am writing kitaban. I am writing kitab. What are you writing? It's mansoob, maf'ulun bihi. Here we're not going to translate kitab as book. Kitab here is a synonym for risala, a letter. I'm writing a letter. Right? Kitab in here means a letter. It does not mean a book. Right? أنا أكتب كتابا إلى to أخي, my brother, Amir. Amir is majroor after إلى. It's a badal or a supplement for أخي. So I could say أنا أكتب كتابا إلى عامر, or I could say أنا أكتب كتابا إلى أخي. Either way it goes, it's majroor. The sign of majroor in أخي is prevented because of this ya al-mutakallim. The ya of the one who's doing the talking prevents the jar from being seen there, right? But in Amir, it's not there, so we see the kasras on the ra, right? Ana aktubu kitaban, I'm writing a letter, ila akhi Amir. We have to remember this word kitab throughout this story, throughout this reading, and the next is used as letter and not book, right? It's used as letter and not book. Qala Khalid. Khalid, he said. Remember Khalid, he doesn't have any news. He doesn't have any idea about, right? Doesn't have any idea about Barid, al-Barid, the male. Qala Khalid, he said, سمعت أنه في دهلي فهل أحد مسافر. سمعت, from سمع يسمع, to hear. I heard, سمعت, I heard, أنه, that he, في دهلي. Dihli is something that I had to look up, right? Today it's called Delhi. The ha comes after the lam, today, right? It's in India, Delhi, in India. However, a person from there, such as Sheikh Waliullah ad-Dahlawi, Dahlawi, right? Because they say it, that the ha, they say it even there, that the H comes before the lam. The ha comes before the lam. And there's a long history. You can look it up online. Some people, they used to call it Delhi without any H, and it would be called Daliya, or different names. It's recently been settled on Delhi. Delhi. If you look it up today, they'll say Delhi. But a person from there is still called a Dahlawi. They'll still put the ha before it. So Dahli or Dihli is in India. Delhi, India. Right? فَهَلْ أَحَدٌ مُسَافِرٌ. Fa is so. Hal is a question, is a word that makes a sentence into a question. فَهَلْ أَحَدٌ Musafir. Ahad means one, but here it means anyone. Musafirun, traveling. From safara, yusafiru. So those who are following the Access to Quranic Arabic, we recently did form 3 of the verb, and this is form 3. Safara, yusafiru. Right? Yusafiru. The fa'il is musafir, the one doing it. So is anyone, hal ahadun musafirun, is anyone traveling? Qala Tariq. Tariq, he said, la, bal yusafiru kitabi. La, no, bal, rather. Bal means rather. Yusafiru kitabi. Kitabi, my letter, my message, my note. Not my book, my letter, my message, my note that I'm writing, right? Yusafiru. It's doing the traveling. Right? قال خالد كيف يسافر كتابك يا طارق. He says كيف, how يسافر كتابك. How does your message, your note, your letter, how is it going to travel? Tariq, O Tariq. If we pay attention inside of here, then he's focusing on, we don't have a lot of new vocabulary. This vocabulary is maybe very easy vocabulary for the most part, right? There are a few new words, but for the most part, the vocabulary here is very easy. But what he is focusing on is the different conjugations of the verbs and using the different pronouns. So kitabi, kitabuka, and so on and so forth. Aktubu, taktubu, yaktubu, yusafiru, musaf. He's using the different conjugations, showing how words are mushtaq, how they are derived from one another. Qala Tariq. Tariq, he said, Ana aktubu al-kitaba. ثم أضعه في الغلاف. أنا, I, أكتب, I write. الكتابة, what do I write? الكتابة, مفعول به, منصوب. I write the note, I write the letter, I write the message, not the book. It can be book, but not in this context. ثم, and then أضعه, from وضع, يضع. Right? Wada'a yada'u. To place or to put. Thumma ada'ahu. Then I put it. Referring to the kitab. Right? Because it's masculine. Then I put it. Fil ghilaf. Fil ghilaf. Ghilaf is from ghain lam fa, meaning an envelope. Ghilaf means envelope. Right? وَأَكْتُبُ, and I write عَلَى الْغِلَافِ, upon the envelope. Unwana. Unwan is mansub because it's the object of aktubu. What do I write? I write unwan. Right? Unwan, meaning the address. Unwan is the address. Aktubu ala al-ghilafi unwana akhi. This is mudaf mudaf ilayh. And akhi itself is mudaf mudaf ilayh. I write the address of my brother. Thumma, and then ursiluhu. Ursilu is from arsala arsala yursilu. There should be a hamza there. Yursilu. To send, coming from ra, sin, lam, just like rasul, a messenger, someone who is sent. Arsala yursilu, form 4. Right? Form 4 of the verbs, which we will do inshallah very soon in Access to Quranic Arabic. So he says, Thumma ursiluhu, then I send it, meaning al-ghilaf. Or it could also mean al-kitab, but here it means al-ghilaf, right? Because the ghilaf fil al-kitab fil ghilaf, right? It's in the envelope. Unzur, هذا غلاف البريد. Unzur, from nadara, meaning look. He's telling him, he's commanding him, look. هذا غلاف البريد. This, هذا, this, غلاف البريد. This is the envelope of the mail. This is the envelope of the post, of the mail. قال Khalid, he said, وما هذا شكل في جانب الغلاف يا طارق. He says, وما هذا, and what is this? الشكل. الشكل from sheen, kaf, lam, meaning a shape or a form. There's something on the envelope. There's a shape or a form on the envelope, something that he doesn't understand. في جانب الغلاف. Janib from jeen, noon, ba, meaning on the side. So you have an envelope, right? Over here. I gotta remember, it's been so long since we wrote letters, right? Over here on the side, there's something. So he sees the envelope, right? He sees the ghilaf, and then he says, وَمَا هَذَا الشَّكْلُ, pointing to this. فِي جَانِبِ الْغِلَافِ يَا طَارِق. Janib meaning the side or the edge. Janib meaning being next to, on the side or the edge. Right? So if a person sat and then Muhammad sat next to him, put an M there for Muhammad. Muhammad, and this is, say, Sulaiman. Muhammad, Janib Sulaiman. Muhammad is next to Sulaiman. Right? So he's on the side of him. He's not amamahu. He's not khalfahu. He's not in front of him or behind him. He's not fawqahu, above him, or tahtahu, below him. He is janibuhu. He's next to him, on the side of him. So he says, وَمَا هَذَا الشَّكْلُ فِي جَانِبِ الْغِلَافِ يَا طَارِق. What is this shape or form on the side of the envelope, O Tariq? قال طارق, هذا طابع البريد. طابع from طا با عين, meaning a stamp. A stamp. Right? That's what it is. It's a stamp. The stamp of the mail. This is a postage stamp. Right? وَإِذَا أَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَكْتُبَ بِطَاقَةً. وَإِذَا, and if, أَرَدْتُ, I wanted to, from أَرَادَ يُرِيدُ, form 4. أَرَادَ يُرِيدُ, from, looking it up, Raw, Wow, Dal. If I wanted to, and Aktuba, if I wanted to write, Aktuba has a fata on the back because of N. But up here, when there was nothing in front of it, then it had a Dhamma. It's marfu with the Dhamma, that's its normal case, being imperative. But here, not imperative. Yes, imperative, right? I'm not sure right now. I can't remember the English terminology. Sorry. So, aktuba here being subjunctive. I know that for sure. Or mansub. Right? Bitaqa. Bitaqa comes from ba, ta, Qaf. We might be familiar with this word because there's a hadith called Hadithul Bitaqa. Hadithul Bitaqa. Hadithul Bitaqa is a man who has 99 books of bad deeds. Each of them as big as the eye can see, and they're placed on a scale, right? You got all these books, 99 of them, wide open, all of them bad deeds, right? And then, right, this Bitaqa comes, a little card. Here, Bitaqa is a postcard. A little card comes with La ilaha illallah written on it, and it weighs so heavy that these go flying in the air. This Bitaqa of La ilaha illallah is heavier than all of those sins. That's how merciful Allah is. He gave the weight of La ilaha illallah that much. Right? So this hadith al-Bitaqa. So he says, وَإِذَا أَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَكْتُبَ بِطَاقَةً, and if I wanted to write a bitaqa, a postcard, write what? A postcard. That's why it has those fathas there. It's mansub, maf'ulun bihi. He says, أكتب العنوان على وجه البطاقة. I write what? I write the unwan, maf'ulun bihi, the object of writing. And we know when we have postcards, right? Then this is a beautiful place here, right? MashaAllah. Got the Kuwait Towers right there. Right? Got the Kuwait Towers, MashaAllah. Beautiful place. May Allah preserve Kuwait, right? You go down there, you see Kuwait. On the other side, right? Usually there's a little line like this there. He says, أكتب العنوان على وجه البطاقة. I write it on the face. On the face of the bitaqa. Meaning here. Wajh. On one of the sides. Wajh is also like a side here. But on the face of the postcard. انظر هذه بطاقة. Look at this bitaqa. وفي جانبها طابع البريد. So here, right? وفي جانبها طابع البريد. And on the side of it, ha here because bitaqa is feminine, طابع البريد is a postage stamp. قال خالد. Khalid, he says, وما هذه الصورة يا طارق. And what is this surah? What is this picture? We have to remember surah with a sad is a picture. Surah with a sin, right, is a surah from the Quran. Surah, plural, for pictures is suwar. Suwarun. Surah from the Quran in plural is suwarun. Same plural. Looks the same, just one has a sin, one has a sad. The sad means a picture, an image. Sin means a portion, or however you want. I don't like to use the word chapter, but of the Quran, right? A surah from the Quran. A chapter normally has one topic. The Quran is not like that. It's not like any other book. So that's why I don't like to use the word chapter. Anyway. وَمَا هَذِهِ سُورَةُ يَا طَارِقْ. And what is this picture, Tariq? هَذِهِ سُورَةُ إِنسَانٍ. This is a picture of a person, insan. Right? And this is mudaf ilayh. We're used to seeing mudaf ilayh with the alif lam on the mudaf ilayh. Suratul insan. But that's not always necessary. Right? Because it's not a specific person here, but a person. Suratu insanin. This is a picture of a person. وَقَدْ سَمِعْتُ. And I heard. Qad here being like an emphasis. وَقَدْ سَمِعْتُ أَنَّ. I heard that. Surata ذِي رُوحٍ Surata, a picture. It is mansoob after anna, from the sisters of inna wa akhawatuha, right? Make the noun after it mansoob. Anna surata dhi ruhin, and here it's mudaf ilay. That the surah of something, the ruhin, something with a soul, ruh, right? The ruhin, something which possesses a soul, la tajuzu fil Islam. Surah is feminine, so we have this ta here. It is not permissible in Islam. وَقَدْ سَمِعْتُ أَنَّ صُورَةَ ذِي رُوحٍ لَا تَجُوزُ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ. And I heard that pictures of that with a soul is not permissible in Islam. We're going to read this next answer of Tariq, right? But we're going to have to make an Islamic explanation besides the Arabic one. So he says, قال طارق نعم. He says, yes. إذا كانت حكومة إسلامية صحيحة لم تكن صورة على غلاف البريد والبطاقة. He said, نعم, yes. إذا, if, كانت, it was. حكومة, if the hukuma, the government, from ha, kaf, meen, hukuma. If the hukuma Islami, if it was hukumatun Islamiyatun, if it was Islamic government, sahihatun, a correct Islamic government, an authentic Islamic government, from the word sahih, if it was correct, if it was authentic, لم تكن صورة على غلاف البريد والبطاقة. There would not be لم تكن, there would not be صورة, a picture على غلاف البريد, upon the post, on the envelope of the mail, والبطاقة, and the postcards. Subhanallah, this is an incorrect statement. And this is a statement of Hakimiyya and a statement of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, the Muslim Brotherhood. This is a statement of khuruj against the hukam. Now, it's not calling for khuruj, but this is a statement which will call for that type of idea, because you're saying that the government is not correct because it has a picture on a stamp or on an envelope. And la shak, no doubt, we do not deny the fact that pictures are muharram, they're haram, suwar, dhi ruhin, pictures of those things with a soul, la tajuz fil Islam. They're not permissible in Islam. No doubt. This statement of Khalid, that he had heard this is correct. Right? This statement of Khalid is correct. His statement is correct. And we should have this innocence. We should have this. Why are we seeing these pictures everywhere? Sometimes we have pictures for learning. Sometimes we use them. If you live in the Middle East and you want to show your kid a whale, they may never see a whale except in a picture. Right? However, just to draw pictures for fun or to make cartoons and then make jokes and stuff out of things, this is not permissible. Right? This is not permissible to just go around taking pictures. You can't keep them in your house. The angels do not enter. La shak. However, to say if the government was a real Islamic government, this wouldn't happen, this is incorrect. We all have shortcomings. We all have mistakes. And we all, right, fall short somewhere. But that doesn't mean you're not a real Muslim because you have a shortcoming. You might have 4 or 5 people in your house. You, your wife, and 2 or 3 kids. You, your husband, and 2 or 3 kids. And how many things go on in your house? How many conversations take place that should not take place? How much stuff is watched or listened to that should not be watched? If you were a real Muslim family, if you really represented Islam, if you were really practicing Islam, no, this is not how we talk. And this is not how we deal with the government. Rather, we make dua for them. We see someone make it, say, Akhi, this is wrong. When Khalid said, وَمَا هَذِهِ سُورَةُ يَا طَارِقْ, and what is this picture, O Tariq? هذه سورة إنسان. This is a picture of a person. وقد سمعت أن الصورة ذي روح لا تجوز في الإسلام. Right? And I heard this is a picture of a person, and I heard that pictures of things with souls they're not permissible in Islam. Tariq, he should have said, نعم هذا صحيح. Well, بالآسف, this is true, and unfortunately, بالآسف, unfortunately, هي موجودة ونسأل الله, and we ask Allah and يجعلنا على طريق سواء, on the path which is correct, and something like this. But to say the government's not right because they let a picture in, the government's not a real Islamic government, they're a bunch of hypocrites. That's the statement that's going to come from that. Even though he didn't say that himself. But the author of this book, Abul Hasan al-Nadwi, he has some of these mistakes. He has some of these mistakes of speaking about our leaders in our Muslim country, our Muslim governments, as being from the times of Jahiliyyah. And they are from the first people who spoke with this Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah. They're from the first people who spoke with Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah, with Sayyid Qutb bin Maududi. And even though that's the case, he has many great efforts in refuting Maududi's mistakes. Some people even went so far as to call Maududi a kafir, right? Not saying that he did, but he has great refutations against the Qadiani group in India and other than them. So he has many, many great works. And so I want to clarify 2 things here. I just said, I'm not practicing muwazana. I'm not practicing muwazana that when I mention something evil from him that I have to mention something bad. I'm clarifying why we use his book and that his case is not 100% clear cut. He might have some Ash'ari tendencies. He might have some Hakimiyya tendencies, right? However, he was not a pure Ash'ari, nor was he a pure Takfiri. So he has these mistakes. So that's why we're clarifying it. We're not going to say if someone was a pure Ash'ari, a pure Takfiri, we're not going to bring up his good points and try to balance it out. No, this guy is totally wrong. But Abul Hasan al-Nadwi was not like that. The second thing is we're not teaching his book. We're teaching Arabic. And we're using his book and we're making the corrections. This book is a famous book that is used throughout the Muslim world to teach Arabic. And so we're making the corrections when this comes up. Allah knows best, and I have not found any complete teachings of Al-Qira'atu Rashida that have reached to the point where we have reached. But Allah knows best. They may not even address it when it comes to this sentence here. They may just go on and teach you the Arabic of it and show you what's mudaf, mudaf ilayh, and what's majroor and why, and what's mansub and why, and so on and so forth. The meanings of the words, past and present verbs, and the singles and the plurals. And they may not even address this concept. So it's important for us to make this understood. Right? Now, this sentence is in the book, but this is not how we deal with these types of questions. So Tariq, قال طارق نعم إذا كانت حكومة إسلامية صحيحة, and this is a غلط, this is a mistake. لم تكن صورة على غلاف البريد والبطاقة. There would not be pictures upon the envelope, the postage envelopes and the postcards. Now, that doesn't mean that we should go around allowing pictures. The one who has the worst punishment on the Day of Judgment are those who make pictures. So this is a serious threat, but does not negate someone's authentic Islam. We're not the Khawarij. When someone makes a mistake, we take them out of authentic Islam. Rather, it's a weakness, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen us. Let's continue. Hopefully that's clear. I'm sorry I went off, but I talked to a couple brothers and one of the mashayikh about this ibara, this section here, this phrase, and they said that I must make some mention, and I hope I've done justice to it, right? And I hope that you understand, right? Qala Khalid. Khalid said, ثم ماذا تفعل يا أخي إذا كتبت العنوان. ثم, then, ماذا تفعل, from فعل يفعل, what do you do, يا أخي, oh my brother, إذا كتبت العنوان, when you have written, كتبت, you have written, to a singular male, العنوان, written what, العنوان, مفعول به منصوب. What do you do? قال طارق, he said, أضع الكتاب في صندوق البريد. أضع, from وضع يده, here's first person, present singular. I place الكتاب, the kitab, the message, the note, the letter, في صندوق البريد, in the صندوق, the box. صندوق is one of those letters which is rubai. Most of our words, kataba, kitab, most of them are all bitaqa. They have three letter roots. Sunduq has four. Sad, Nun, Dal, Qaf. Right? The box. Sunduq al-Barid. I put it in the post box, in the mailbox. Qala Khalid, وَمَا صُنْدُوقُ الْبَرِيدِ. And what is the صُنْدُوقُ الْبَرِيدِ? What is the post box? What is the mailbox? قال طارق, هل رأيت صندوقا أحمر له فم في مكتب البريد وعلى شوارع. هل, have, it's a question word. رأيت, from رأى يرى, here. رأيت, did you see. صندوقا, a box. Did you see what? A box. مفعول به, the object of the seeing. Did you see a box? أحمر. Ahmara is also mansub, but it is mamnu min as-sarf, so it does not take tanweens. Ahmar is red. Did you see a red box? Lahu, it has. Fam, it has a mouth. Right? It has a mouth. This is the fem. You open this up and you put the mail in it, right? Lahu fem. Fi maktab al-barid. Did you see this in the post office? Maktab. Maktab is post office. Or maktab is office. Al-barid, maktab al-barid, post office. Wa ala shawari'. Shawari', the plural of shari', street. And on the streets, right? هل رأيت صندوقا أحمر. Alhamdulillah, I had a red pen when I drew it, right? له فم في مكتب البريد. It has a mouth at the post office. وعلى شوارع. قال خالد, نعم, yes. رأيته كثيرا. I saw it a lot. I've seen it a lot. I've seen them everywhere. ومن يأخذ هذا الكتاب من صندوق البريد وكيف يصنع. ومن, and who, يأخذ, who takes, أخذ يأخذ, to take, هذا الكتاب, this message, this note, this letter. Who takes what? Who takes this note? مفعول به, منصوب. من صندوق البريد, who takes it from the mailbox. وكيف يصنع, and how does he, and how, وكيف, and how, يصنع, how does he do? What does he do with it? يصنع, from صنع يصنع, meaning to do, to manufacture, to build. What does he do with it? قال طارق, he said, يحمل الساعي الكتب إلى مكتب البريد. يحمل, from حمل يحمل, to carry. Right? To carry. We know this from Surah Al-Masad. when Allah talks about the wife of Abu Lahab. Right? يحمل الساعي. As-sa'i here is basically the worker, the one who walks around, right, doing the work, right, the one who walks around with the mail. Al-kutuba, what does he carry? Yahmilu as-sa'i al-kutuba. This ya here prevents the dhamma from showing up. As-sa'iyu, he's the fa'il, but this ya prevents it, right, due to the difficulty of pronouncing it. As-sa'iyu, as-sa'iyu. It's just hard to say. Say sa'iyu. It's hard. So they just stop and say as-sa'i. Al-kutuba. He carries the letters, the messages, the notes. Ila maktab al-barid. He carries them to the post office. So he takes them out of the sunduq al-barid. Wa yahmiluha ila maktab al-barid. And he carries them to the post office. فَيُفْرِزُهَا رَجُلٌ. يُفْرِزُهَا comes from fa, ra, zay. Comes from fa, ra, zay. From afraza is form 4. Afraza yufrizu. Yufrizu. Right? Ifraz, form 4 of fa, ra, zay. طيب, meaning to separate, to collate, to get them in the proper places. Right? They're not all going to the same place, so we have to separate them. This one's going here, this one's going there. فَيَفْرِزُهَا رَجُلٌ. So a man, he's the fa'il, that's why we have it marfu'. Min rijal al-barid. From the men of the post office, meaning from the mailmen. So a man from the mailmen, yufrizuha, he separates them. Hada ila dihli, this to Dihli, wa dhalika ila Calcutta, and that one to Calcutta. Right? Calcutta, another place in India. Hada ila Dihli, dhalika ila Calcutta. This one goes to Delhi, that one goes to Calcutta. He's separating them. وَهَذَا إِلَى الشَّرْقِ وَذَلِكَ إِلَى الْغَرْبِ. And this one to the sharq, to the east. Like we have in Surah Al-Rahman, Mashriq wal-Maghrib. Mashriqain wal-Maghribain. Mashriq, the east. وَذَلِكَ إِلَى الْغَرْبِ إِلَى الْمَغْرِبِ. Right? The west, it's called Maghrib because that's where the sun sets, on the west. Right? It's called Ishraq, Ishraq, from Sheen Ra Qaf, because that's where the sun comes up, on the east. Right? So, wa yakhtimuha. Right? Yakhtimuha, from khatamin, meaning to stamp them. So we have the word tabi', which means a stamp, right? Like a postage stamp, right? 22 cents, even though it's $22 probably now, right? Due to inflation. I'm just joking, it's like 45 cents in America or something like that. Anyway, and yakhtim would be like one of those rubber stamps with the date on the bottom, that when he stamps it, the date comes. وَيَخْتِمُهَا, and he stamps it. Right? وَيَخْتِمُهَا. يَخْتِمُ, خَتَمَ يَخْتِمُ, to stamp it. يَخْتِمُهَا, ha, referring back to al-kutab. Al-kutab, the letters. قال خالد. Khalid, he said, ثُمَّ مَاذَا, then what? قال Tariq, he said, ثم تحمل هذه الكتب. ثم, then, تحمل, from حمل يحمل, but this is passive. This is passive, the majhul, the passive voice. They are carried, هذه الكتب. These letters, these messages, these notes are carried. Not that they're doing the carrying, like when we said يحمل رجل, the man carried, but here تحمل, they are carried. These letters are carried. إلا محطة. محطة from حاطة. Right? Look it up like that. محطة means the station. The station. Meaning like the mail station, the main mail station, right? ثم توضع. Again, this one is passive as well. It is the passive voice, the majhul voice. They are placed from وضع يدعو. Not that they place. ثم أضعه أضعه في الغلاف. Then I place it in the envelope. No. ثم توضع. Then they are placed. على القطار. على القطار. On the train. And we've had this word before. We had a whole story about it traveling by train. Then they're placed on the train. وَيَحْمِلُهَا الْقِطَارِ. Here it's back to being active. It's not يُحْمِلُ but يَحْمِلُ. Right? يَحْمِلُهَا الْقِطَارِ. And the train carries them. إِلَى مَكَانِهَا. To their place. مكان is place. Coming from كَانَ يَكُونُ. كون, to be. This is a place. مكانها, to their place. فكتاب دهلي يسافر به قطار دهلي. So the letter of Dihli, the message, the note of Dihli, meaning those that go to Dihli, يسافر به قطار Dihli, the train of Dihli, the Dihli train, and it's the file here, it's marfu, that's why I circled it and have the dhamma there. The Dihli train, yusafiru bihi, travels with it, ila Dihli, to Dihli. Wa kitabu Calcutta, and the letter, the message, the note for Calcutta, yusafiru bihi kitaru Calcutta, ila Calcutta. Then the train of Calcutta travels with it to Calcutta. قال خالد وهل يحضر أخوك إلى محطة دهلي. وهل, and it's a question. يحضر from حضر يحضر, meaning to show up, to be present, to go to, right? أخوك, your brother. And does your brother go to إلى, go to محطة دهلي, to the station at Dihli? ويأخذ كتابه, and he takes his letter. He takes what? كتابه مفعول به, and he takes his letter. وهل يعرفه ناظر المحطة. وهل, and does يعرفه, does he know him? Who know him? ناظر. It's the file of يعرف. Does the ناظر from انظر, look at. So look at this. Is the file, the file of the doer of انظر, of looking. So the one who does the looking, what will we call him? A supervisor, a manager, an attendant, an administrator, right? An inspector, right? The chief, any of those. ناظر المحطة, the chief or the inspector or the administrator or the manager, the supervisor of the station. هل يعرفه, will he know him? Meaning, أخوك, will he know your brother? قال طارق لا يحتاج أخي إلى هذا التعب. لا يحتاج أخي إلى هذا التعب. My brother, لا يحتاج, he doesn't need, إلى هذا التعب. تعب meaning burden, like and a ta'ban, I'm tired. The meaning ta'ab here meaning burden or hardship or difficulty or inconvenience. He doesn't need to go through this burden. He doesn't have to burden himself. He doesn't have to go through all that. بل إذا وصل الكتاب إلى المحطة دهلي. Rather, wasala yasilu, when the letter arrives, is the file here, the letter, the message, the note, when it arrives, wasala, ila mahattat al-Dahli, when it arrives to the station of Dahli, the Dahli station, yunqalu min al-mahatta ila maktab al-barid. Yunqalu, from naqala, but here this is passive. It is transported from naqala, to transport. Yunqalu, it is transported min al-mahatta, from the station, ila maktab al-barid, to the post office. Qala Khalid. Khalid, he said, فَيَحْضُرُ أَخُوكَ إِلَى الْمَكْتَبِ الْبَرِيدِ وَيَأْخُذْ رِسَالَتَهُ مِنْ مُدِيرِ الْبَرِيدِ. He says, so your brother, he goes to the post office and he takes his letter. Here we see kitab being used as risala. It's used, the word risala is actually appearing here. Right? وَيَأْخُذُ رِسَالَتَهُ مِنْ مُدِيرِ الْبَرِيدِ. And he takes his letter from the mudir al-barid, from the manager or the whatever of the barid, the supervisor. Qala Tariq. Tariq, he says, La ta'jal. Don't rush. From ajala, to rush. While ajala min ash-shaytan. And rushing is from shaitan. La ta'jal. Don't rush, ya akhi, oh my brother. Don't rush, oh my brother. Ana ukhbiruka bi khabar al-kitab. Ana ukhbiruka, from akhbara yukhbiru, form 4 of khabara. Ana ukhbiruka, I'm going to inform you. Ukhbiruka, inform you. Be, inform you of khabaril barid, the news or the information of the letter. I'm going to tell you what happens to this letter. إذا وصل الكتاب, if the, or when the letter reaches, right, the file, when the letter reaches, إلى المكتب البريد, to the post office, يفرز, again here we have our word, afraza yufrizu, here yufrazu, because it's passive, majhul. It is separated. ويختم, and it is from khatama yakhtimu, meaning, but here it's passive, majhul. It is stamped. Again, with that stamp we said, with the date on it, right? Hunalika aidan. Hunalika meaning there. Hunalika meaning there, like hunak. Hunalika meaning there, aidan. It's stamped there, aidan also. So it was stamped wherever Tariq is, and it's stamped in Dihli, right? Hatta, until, or so that, yu'rafu, it is known, not ya'rifu, he knows, but yu'rafu, it is known, meta wasal al-kitabu ila Dihli. So when meta wasal al-kitab, the letter reached or made it to ila Dihli, to Dihli, right? So he says that, okay, let me go back. إذا وصل الكتاب, when the letter reaches إلى مكتب البريد, to the post office, يفرز, it's separated, ويختم هنالك أيضا, and it's stamped there as well, حتى يعرف متى وصل الكتاب إلى الدهلي, so that it is known when the letter reached Dihli. وبعد ذلك, and after that, ba'da, after, dhalika, and after that, ya'khudhuhu, he takes it. He takes it. Ya'khudhuhu, he takes it. Who, referring to the kitab. If we were to say ar-risala, we would have to say metta wasalat ar-risala ila dahli wa ba'da dhalika ya'khudhuha. Right? As-sa'i. As-sa'i, if remember, we said that ya prevents that dhamma from appearing there. But it's the file here. He's the one doing the taking. Right? As-sa'i, the man who, the one who walks with the male. Right? وَيَحْمِلُهُ إِلَى أَخِي, and he carries it to my brother. Right? And he carries it to my brother. So inshallah ta'ala, let's go through this one more time as a whole letter, as we always do, as the whole reading. And inshallah, it will be clearer if it's not already. If this is clear to you, you don't need to follow this if the class is too long. Or if you don't like this, what I'm doing now, when I'm about to reread it, then tell me in the comments and I'll stop. I don't want to waste my time or yours. Barakallahu feek. Al-Barid, the male. Qala Khalid. Khalid, he said, Mada taktubu ya Tariq? What are you writing, Tariq? Qala Tariq. Tariq said, Ana aktubu kitaban ila akhi Amir. I'm writing a letter to my brother Amir. قال خالد. Khalid said, سمعت أنه في دهلي فهل أحد مسافر? I heard that he's in Delhi. So is anyone traveling? قال طارق لا بل يسافر كتابي. He said, no, rather my letter is traveling. قال خالد كيف يسافر كتابك يا طارق? He said, how is your letter going to travel, Tariq? قال طارق. Tariq, he said, أنا أكتب الكتابة. I write the letter. ثم أضعه في الغلاف. And then I place it in an envelope. وأكتب على الغلاف عنوان أخي. And then I write on the envelope the address of my brother. ثم أرسله. And then I send it. انظر هذا غلاف البريد. Look at this envelope of the mail. Look at this postage envelope. قال خالد. Khalid said, وَمَا هَذَا الشَّكْلُ فِي جَانِبِ الْغِلَافِ يَا طارق? And what is this shape on this form? What is this on the side of the envelope, Tariq? قال طارق هذا طابع البريد. This is a postage stamp. وَإِذَا أَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَكْتُبَ بِطَاقَةً. And if I wanted to write a postcard, أَكْتُبُ الْعُنْوَانَ عَلَى وَجْهِ الْبِطَاقَةِ. Then I would write the address on the face of the postcard. انظر هذه بطاقة. Look, this is a postcard. وفي جانبها طابع البريد. And on the side of it is a postage stamp. قال خالد. Khalid, he said, وما هذه صورة يا طارق? And what is this picture, Tariq? هذه صورة إنسان. This is a picture of a person. وقد سمعت أن صورة ذي روح لا تجوز في الإسلام. And I heard that pictures of things with a soul are not permissible in Islam. قال طارق. Tariq, he said, and this statement here is a mistake. I'm clarifying that, right? Again. نعم. Yes. إذا كانت حكومة إسلامية صحيحة لم تكن صورة على غلاف البريد والبطاقة. He says, and if it was a true or an authentic Islamic government, there would not be pictures on the envelopes of the mail or the postcards. I suggest that if you're doing this with your kids or someone, that we find a way to rephrase his answer. Right? Maybe we can say, Naam. بالآسف. Right? بالآسف. Just leave it like that. Naam بالآسف. Yes, unfortunately. Leave it like that. We don't have to write no long explanation. Naam, unfortunately. Right? هكذا. هكذا. الطوابع. This, like this, are the stamps. The stamps are like this. هكذا. Or هكذا الغلاف. This is how the envelopes are. نعم بالآسف هكذا الطوابع. This is how stamps are. Unfortunately, this is how they are. Right? And then you don't have to have explained this difficult concept to your kids. نعم بالآسف. Right? هكذا الطوابع أو هكذا الغلاف. This is how envelopes are or postage stamps are. No further conversation needed. قال خالد ثم ماذا تفعل يا أخي إذا كتبت العنوان. Then what do you do, O my brother, when you've written the address? قال طارق, he said, أضع الكتاب في صندوق البريد. I placed the letter in the mailbox. قال خالد وما صندوق البريد, and what is the mailbox? قال طارق هل رأيت صندوقا أحمر. Did you see a red box له فم, it has a mouth, it has an opening. في مكتب البريد وعلى شوارع, at the post office and on the streets. قال خالد نعم. Khalid, he said, yes. رأيته كثيرا, I've seen them a lot. ومن يأخذ هذا الكتاب من صندوق البريد, and who takes the letter from this mailbox? وكيف يصنع, and what does he do? How does he do? What goes on after that? قال طارق, he said, يحمل الساعي, the man carries الكتب, the letters, إلى مكتب البريد, to the post office. فيفرزها رجل من رجال البريد. So a man from the postman separates them. هذا إلى الدهلي وذلك إلى كالكتة. This one to Delhi, that one to Calcutta. وهذا إلى الشرق وذلك إلى الغرب. This one to the east and that one to the west. ويختمها, and he stamps them. قال خالد ثم ماذا? Then what? قال طارق ثم تحمل هذه الكتب. Then these letters, these messages, these notes are carried إلى المحطة, to the station. ثم توضع على القطار, and then they're placed on a train. ويحملها القطار إلى مكانها, and the train carries them to their place. You could also say to their destination. فكتاب الدهلي يسافر به قطار الدهلي إلى الدهلي. So the letters of Delhi, the messages of Delhi, the Delhi train travels with them to Delhi. وكتاب كالكتة, and the letter of Calcutta, يسافر به قطار كالكتة, then إلى Calcutta. Then the train of Calcutta travels with it to Calcutta. قال خالد وهل يحضر أخوك إلى المحطة دهلي, and does your brother go and attend the station of Delhi ويأخذ كتابه, and take his letter? وهل يعرفه ناظر المحطة, and does the manager of the station know him? قال طارق, he said, لا يحتاج أخي إلى هذا التعب. My brother doesn't have to go through all this burden. He doesn't have to inconvenience himself like that. Right? بل إذا وصل الكتاب إلى المحطة دهلي. Rather, when the letter reaches to the station in Delhi, ينقل من المحطة إلى المكتب البريد. It's transferred. It is I said the word earlier. It's crossing my mind. It is transferred. It is taken to the from the station to the post office. قال Khalid, he said, فيحضر أخوك إلى مكتب البريد. So then your brother goes to the post office. ويأخذ رسالته, and he takes his letter. من مدير البريد, from the manager of the post office or the manager of the mail. Right? And ينقل would be transfer or transported, right? As we said. قال طارق, he said, لا تعجل يا أخي, don't rush, oh my brother. أنا أخبرك بخبر الكتاب, I'm going to inform you about the news of this letter. إذا وصل الكتاب إلى مكتب البريد, when it reaches when the letter reaches to the post office, يفرز ويختم هنالك أيضا. It is separated and then stamped there as well. حتى يعرف متى وصل الكتاب إلى دهلي, so that it is known when the letter reached Delhi. وبعد ذلك, and after that, يأخذ الساعي, then the mailman who does the walking, he takes it, ويحمله, and he carries it إلى أخي, to my brother. Inshallah, this is clear. Hopefully my explanation of Abu Hassan al-Nadwi is clear and does justice to the topic, right? And hopefully we replace that sentence with something which is befitting, and you guys are content with that. Print this out and write it, inshallah ta'ala. Right? The PDF of this whole book is in the first lesson of the playlist for those who need it. And we'll continue the story about what happens, because it's not over yet, soon, inshallah ta'ala, with lesson number 28. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. As always, any comments, corrections, concerns, suggestions, complaints can be added in the description below. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.